All right, I got a quick one for you guys today. I'm going to teach you how to do low-key or low-light photography with one light, a plain backdrop, and an awesome model. Let's get into it. What's going on, guys? Josh Russell here. I am joshuarussell.com, and I got another lesson, quick little tutorial for you guys. This is low-key photography. I got my son Dominic here. I figured I'd get him involved and use him as a model. That way I don't have to take selfies of me all the time. But what I'm going to teach you guys today is low-key photography or low-light photography with a single light, and how to kind of get that half-dark, half-light face look that's really popular in like really artistic headshots and stuff like that. If you're new to this channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, the thumbs up, and the bell notification. That way you're notified when I release more tutorials, more tricks, tips, and tech reviews. So let's get into it right now, and I'm going to show you guys how I set it up and what goes on with this thing. Alright, so while Dominic is getting ready and getting all set and everything, I'm going to kind of walk you guys through what I use for this. So this is what you need to shoot a project like this, and what you're first going to want to start out with is a flash. You can use a speed light. I have a speed light right here connected to a little ring which has a softbox filter on it. But you can use this and just kind of diffuse it a little bit however you can. You can use it just like this if you want. It's going to be a little harder if you just use just the flash. But you can use this. I'm actually going to use my Neewer Studio Flash and kind of show you with the Strobies box on it how it works. But you can use one of these as long as you have a wireless trigger for your camera for it. I've linked the Sony wireless trigger down below, and I've also linked the flash that I use. This is an Ape Man. It was $40 on Amazon. They work awesome. I have a couple, and if they break, who cares, because I got a couple of them. With that being said, I got the controller linked down below. I'm going to use my Sony controller, and you just kind of got to set it up, and there's a couple little steps on how to do it. So let's get Dominic out here. I think he's ready, and we're going to take some low-key photography. I'm going to show you how to do it. Then we'll get into Lightroom and Photoshop if we need to and show you how it's done. So let's do it right now. All right, so the first step in this is to expose for your backgrounds. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take a picture without your flash on and get your exposure for your background. And what you want is you want a completely black look when you take this picture. So you don't want anything to show up, no light, anything. I would suggest using a black sheet if you have one laying around, unless you have some dark colored backdrop like I do. But you can get away with just using a black sheet and tack it onto the wall or something like that. Another good step in this is to make sure your model has darker clothes on, or the color clothes that you want to come out in the photo. So Dominic has a dark blue shirt on, so I'll probably end up using like a blue tint to this photo just to kind of keep everything in uniform. But you're going to want to expose for your background first. I'm shooting with a Sony a7 III. I have my kit lens on. Usually I'd use an 85mm 1.8, but I'm just going to shoot with my kit lens. That way you guys can follow along if you have the kit lens, and it's just super simple. So I'm shooting f1 or f5, ISO 320, 1/800th of a second in this room. This is a high-speed sync, so I can shoot like that. You may have to kind of manipulate those a little bit depending on where you're shooting and the style you're shooting. But so we're just going to expose for the background right here. Dominic, look right here. And as you can see in the picture, he just barely shows up. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the fact that he's just barely showing up. I could probably go one step darker if I wanted, but that is more than dark enough to be able to do what I need to do. So now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to place your flash, whatever type of flash you're using, kind of in front, but not directly facing at them, because you don't want that flash to hit your background wall and create a background look. So it's kind of tricky, and what they call it is the triangle. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to try to create kind of a triangle on their face. So I would start by taking your flash and placing it right next to them, taking a shot, and then moving it forward further and further until you start to get some look over here on their face. You don't want their face completely half and half unless that's the look you're going for, and then you can put it right side by side. But if you're looking for that triangle look, you want to keep moving it out without turning it towards them. And the best way to do it is actually taking your flash and putting your eye down to it, and wherever you see is wherever it's going to hit. So the further you move it back, the further you can see their face in. So I like to keep it right about there. And what that's going to do is that's going to give a nice flash It'll bounce a little bit off the ground, but it'll mostly get on their face without hitting the background. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this on, and we're going to see how this looks. And we're going to take a picture. Same settings, f5, 1/800th of a second, ISO 320. My trigger is set to my flash, the trigger controlling it, is set to 1/64th, and that's what we're going to shoot at. So let's give a big smile here, Dom. And as you can see, it's coming in real nice. The black looks great. The highlights on his face look good. I could probably even bump this up just a little bit more. Give me a serious face down, just kind of straight. Face straight, a little bit more facing straight at me. There we go. We're gonna do one more here. Well, let's do one more. A little bit less of a surprise, more of a straight face here. Not so much of your cheeks. Let's go ahead and let's do the head down, eyes up trick. So start with your head down. This is a real easy trick to get a model that feels uncomfortable about shooting, how to get them a little more comfortable in the shot. So what you want to do is you want them to start with their head down, and you're going to want to start with raising your eyes up first and then your head. What that does is it creates more of a dramatic look when they're looking up. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to look down, start with your eyes looking up, and then go with your head. There we go. So there's a few shots, and that's good enough for the tutorial, what we're looking for. So we're going to get into Photoshop and Lightroom now, and I'm going to show you how I will edit those photos that you just saw me take and show you what the final image looks like, which you saw at the beginning of the video and the thumbnail as well. But let's get into Lightroom. Let's do this tutorial on those steps, and let's have some fun in there. Let's go. All right, so now that we are on our computer and all set up, we're gonna get into this editing, and I'm gonna show you how I can take the photo and just with a couple quick tweaks make this photo just look awesome and be able to use it on you know, a headshot or a portrait or more like an art piece. You know, this is definitely isn't something you're gonna want to print out and give to the family members and stuff, but this is more of a dramatic style shot. So let's get into it right now. I'm gonna pull it up here, and so we got it going, and this is our shot here. As you can see, Dominic is okay lit. It's a little dark, but with just a few quick tweaks, we can actually make this photo look awesome, and we're gonna go into it right now. The first step you're gonna wanna do is kind of tweak the lights. A lot of times I'll just hit the auto button. With something like this though, you don't wanna do that, because if you do it, it's just going to just crazy overexpose everything, and that looks terrible. So we're gonna go back to this, and this is just going to be very fine touches, fine tweaks to get this photo to look right. First thing you're gonna want to do is bring your highlights up, because you want to create that bright to darkness, and then your whites I bring up just a little bit, not much at all. If you feel like this is still a little underpowered, you can bring your shadows up just a little bit. I mean, even bringing them all the way up isn't gonna do much. And your blacks up just, if you go too much with your blacks, you're gonna start getting your background in, so you want to keep it kind of up there, but not much. I'm only going plus 19 with it. Other than that, maybe turn on a little bit of, just a smidge of, and that is an actual unit of measurement, a smidge, plus 2 on the dehaze. So that's all done in Lightroom. That simple. And as you can see, the photo already looks better than it did. I'll show you the original here. This is before, this is after. So you're already seeing a light difference. The next step is to bring it into Photoshop here. We're going to bring it into Photoshop to it. We're going to kind of bring up the color in his eyes a little bit and kind of create a false color in his eyes. And then we are going to lay a color overlay over the whole image. So the first thing we're going to do is unclick that, even though I really didn't need to. We will create a new layer. We're going to figure out what color his eyes are. So they got a little bit of a blue in them. Dominic's eyes change color every time, every day. So we're going to just colorize this. That was Control U to bring up your hue saturation. We're going to bring some blue in. We'll go right about there. We'll bring this. And as you can see, it is laying that over his entire face. You don't want that. What you want is you want to just do it in his eyes. So we're going to create a layer mask, and then I will Control I invert that. So that's still there, but now it's masked, but nothing is showing up. The next step into that is to grab your brush tool. Make sure it's a soft brush. The hardness is all the way down on there. You don't want the hardness up. And we're just going to zoom in to Dominic's eyes. And we're going to make sure we have our white brush, which we do. And we're going to just kind of start coloring in. Now, if you're doing this and you go like this and you realize that you did something wrong, there are two options. You can bring your black brush and just color it back out, or you can, I mean, if it was the previous thing you just did, you can hit Control Z or Command Z as well. But so your white brush is what colors the stuff on there, and the black brush is what gets rid of it on your mask. So you just want to kind of color his eye in. If you feel like you went over his eye too much, over the pupil, kind of go in and fix that. We'll go over here. See, I did it a little bit darker here. You don't want it to look too like creepy, unnatural. You want it to kind of blend in naturally. We're even going to take the opacity down on this once we get it on his eyes. So there we go. We have the a little bit spill right there. We have the color over his eyes. What we're going to do now is zoom out just a little bit so we can see how strong that is. And we're just going to bring the opacity down on that a little bit. You want it to be, I mean, because this is his natural color, you want it to show, but you don't want it to like just seem ridiculously fake. You want it to at least blend in a little bit. And as you can see, that makes a major difference in this photo, just having a little bit of color in his eyes. The next step we're going to do is we are going to lay a color cast over this whole image here. The way that I do it is with adjustments, and you use your adjustments palette right here, your adjustments palette. If you don't have that, you can go up to Window, click, and then click Adjustments. That'll pop that out over here. It may be on the top, maybe somewhere, but that's all in Photoshop. And then we're going to lay a color lookup over it, and Adobe Photoshop has a bunch of color lookups built into their system. So and this is completely your own artistic style from here on out. You're going to want to play around. You're going to want to pick the color you want and just go from there. And I'm just going to show you how I would do the photo. This is not how you have to do the photo. You can color it. You can stop right here if you want, or you can add some color to it. You can do whatever you want to it. There's so much more that you could do to this photo as far as frequency separation, coloring, blurring. I mean, there's so much. I just wanted to make this really quick and easy for you guys. So I'm going to go with the edgy amber. As you can see, it laid it over the entire thing, and you can kind of just play around and see what you like. As far as the color goes, so I like exclusion, but then I'm going to turn the opacity way down. So all that's going to do is just bring that in a little bit. I actually don't like that as much as I thought I was going to. So that's about what I want with that color. So as you can see, it's just adding a little bit of warmth to his face. It adds it to the entire image, but we'll fix that in a little bit. So, and then I'm going to add another one. And I really like this horror blue. And as you can see, it's just way too much right like that. But we can bring it down like this. Down to about, let's go 10%. And as you can see, it's not doing much except for just adding a little bit of drama to that look. Creating a little bit of blue to it. And I already think this looks good. Let's add one more layer on here, and let's go with this teal orange contrast. And we're gonna bring that way down, like 2%. So it is barely doing anything to the image. If you get in close, you might be able to see it's doing a little bit more. It's just kind of touching on it just a little bit. But that is, for the most part, how I would do this photo. I always kind of tweak and look around just a little bit and see what everything's doing after I've added it all in there. And you can see, you might even want to add one more, and that'd be a gradient map. So what you do is you click the gradient map, then you click and you do the black and white. What that's going to do is it's going to give you a fantastic black and white image. We don't want it though. We don't want the black and white image. We want to just bring that down, and that's just going to kind of desaturate the photo a little bit and give it a little bit more of an artistic look. So as you can see, it's just kind of desaturating the photo just a little bit. This photo looks awesome. And then we're just going to hit Command or Control S, save it, and come back over into Lightroom, check out what it does. And Lightroom should automatically read it. If you came from Lightroom into Photoshop, it'll read it and it'll automatically update your image. As you can see, this is the updated image. And where's my original image here? It's gonna be right here. Nope, just kidding. So this is the original image, and then this is the final touched up image, and you can kind of compare these two by doing this. Oh, I did not want to do that. Let's do this. Let's get all these resetted here. There we go. So that's the before and the after of the two images, and you can just kind of see just what touching it up a little bit will do to the photo. I mean, it really brings it out, really makes it look good. And you have your low-key photo, and then you can crop it down however you want. I'm going to crop it so he is. And then maybe add a little bit of a gradient filter down here on the bottom. Drop the exposure so it just kind of comes out of nowhere a little bit more. And there you have an awesome photo that could be used pretty much anywhere you want to show your artistic skill and give a low-key photo. These are really popular as far as Facebook, social media profile pictures. A lot of people like to do them. You can, you know, make it black and white and give that look to it. But with the eye color popping the way we did it, I would leave it color. I hope this helped you guys. If it did, please remember to hit that subscribe button, the thumbs up, the bell notification, and all of that good stuff. That way you know when I drop more videos. I'm dropping a lot of tutorials coming up in the next month or so. I hope this helped you, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. And I hope you guys have a happy new year, because it's a week away from New Year's. So I'll talk to you later. Peace.